I'm going to put the...
Yep.
So, my friends.
Let's go for it. Yes.
Let's rock.
And roll. So, got some familiar looking names out there. Not many familiar looking faces yet. Or are they cut? Oh, yes, my dear friend Paul Erik.
Hi, Richard.
Een hele goede middag, jongeman.
Hi, man.
So you speak Dutch?
Oh, just a little bit, teeny weeny bit.
It's sort of Danglish.
It's very Dunglish.
You're modest, Richard.
Nice to see you, Frank. Frank White. Oh my goodness,
It's been a while.
That has been a long while, Frank. How lovely to see you.
Yes,
how are you doing?
Yes, quite well, thank you.
Good, good. Well, I'm very pleased you turned up today. Lovely to see you on camera. Hopefully we'll get more people turning on their cameras unless they're doing things that they don't want us to see, of course. Or, of course, if they're not paying attention, that would be very bad. But what do you want to do, Stefan? How long do you want to wait before we kick in? I think
you haven't said hello to anybody, to everybody, so it takes a long time with your age.
Oh, well, you know, I just bumped into some new neighbors about half an hour before we started, and I said to them, "You better watch out for me because I'm one of the biggest kletskopper in Houten."
Okay, I will put you back on the timeline.
Yeah. But anyway, we've got 30 people already, so I think we'll just kick off and see who joins as we go.
Yeah, nice.
Because as always, I'll be trying to cram in far too much in the time that we've got available. But anyways, good afternoon and welcome everybody. And lovely to see you all. It's kind of when we do these things, I think it's fantastic to be able to use Zoom or online stuff. And because when you do these things live, which I've done many times, but you're never quite sure how many people turn up. So, you know, you don't know whether to get a big room or a small room. And if you get a big room and only a few people turn up, you feel a bit of a dickhead, you know, and if you get a small room and everybody's crammed in. But anyway, the thing that is different when, of course, you're live, and there are so many things that are different. But when you're live, you can come in and, you know, sometimes I go on stage and there's like 500 people there and you go on and you say, "So, how you doing, everybody?" And the normal response is you get a lot of people shouting, "Yeah, great. Oh, okay." People put their hands up in the air and so, because you don't get that here. And I wouldn't expect to get it so much if this was a live workshop today, because, you know, sometimes it's not okay. Yeah. The standard response in English when you ask somebody, whether you go into a session or you meet people on the street, socially, wherever it is, the standard response that people say is in English, "Not too bad." You know, in French, "Comment vas-tu?" "Ah, oui, ça va." And in Dutch, of course, they keep it nice and short. You know, "Alles goed?" "Yep." The Dutch, interestingly, keep things very short, but that's a totally different subject. We won't go there. But the thing is, it's not always okay. And the last couple of years, I think the vast majority of people have experienced, of course, through the pandemic, and now as the world has lurched into this tragedy, you know, the Ukrainian tragedy, it's not all okay. And this has a huge impact on all things in life and also very much on your energy levels. So I encourage people to, from time to time at least, well, I encourage people to be honest to themselves at least all the time. Look in the mirror and tell yourself the way it is. And if it's not okay, it's not okay. And I'm going to go through the different types of energy and talk about energy levels and so forth. But sometimes your energy levels are low. And it's okay to say, you know, I'm down at the moment, or this, because it's only when you admit to these things, I find, that you actually then have a higher chance of doing something about it. And I hope today, you know, you can be honest to yourself every day, look in the mirror. And when we go through these energy levels, the 4 types of energy levels, I'm going to ask you, what's your level at the moment? And then we're going to put you into breakout rooms and get you to talk about it in groups of 3, hopefully. So that's just as a lead in to say, it's fine to sometimes say everything's not okay. Today, most things are great for me, I must say, and the sun is shining. Although I have to say, I went out for a cycle ride, which I often do before a webinar, get the energies and the juices flowing. And I went out along the Amsterdam Rhine Canal. Stefan was telling me you shouldn't tell this story. He thought it was a little bit visual and visually unpleasant. But anyway, I live in Houten, and I went along the Amsterdam Rhine Canal, and I was speeding along there as fast as I could. And there's a place along there that they call the Songfiets Pub. Now, I had Bob Dylan in my ears. I'm trying to play it along with my guitars at the back here. So the Simple Twist of Fate. I don't know if you know the song, but I was singing away, as one does on the Songfiets Pub. And all of a sudden, a fly flew into my mouth, which was very unpleasant. I have to say what followed next. But anyway.
Still there?
No. I think I cleared everything out. But so that wasn't okay at the moment. But as one does at these types of sessions, I'm going to slip into a slideshow. So here we go. And I'll say after a very short while, we're going to put you into breakout rooms of 3 and ask you to talk about your energy levels. And then we'll come back and I'll talk a lot more about things. But my whole purpose today is to give you a little bit of theory in terms of understanding personal energy, if you don't already know about that, and then give you as many tips as possible as I can cram in, some energy boosters to help you boost and manage your energy, your energies, I should say. So here we go with the slide share. Always very conscious, being very technical, that this might not always work, but I'm sure somebody can tell me if you're seeing slides. Yep, we're seeing slides. Super. Just very briefly, this is me, or at least this is the most important parts of my life. And this is my family, 4 kids and their partners, Christina, my life partner, wonderful, wonderful person, and my 7 beautiful grandkids, some are mixed in there. And then the rest of the things are kind of, whenever I get me time, it's either guitars, and if I'm playing outdoors, then it's on 2 wheels, fast or as fast as I can on either motor powered or no motor power, and a bit of golf mixed in from time to time. This is the agenda. We're going to have a break around about 4 o'clock. As you'll know, it's rather difficult to precisely judge these things, but just a 5-minute break around about then, and then finish up with another 25 to 30 minutes. So I'm going to explain very briefly. I know many of you will know this already, but I want to explain briefly about the 4 types of energy and then give you some booster tips. This is the model I and quite a few people use to talk about personal energy. When you ask people about, hey, how's your energy? In general, people will think primarily about physical energy. How much energy have I got to do things? A lot of people will simultaneously or separate from that think about mental energy. How alert do I feel? How awake am I? How good am I at concentrating? But there are actually 4 types. There are also the emotional and the purpose. Now, these 4 types are constantly interacting with each other. So if I were to ask you, what's your current energy level as a whole? If you just closed your eyes and thought about it, it's an 8.25 or whatever, then that would be taking into account those 4 energy types and all their interactions. But it's really useful to look at them individually as well. Now, they're shown this way in the form of a pyramid with physical on the bottom and then emotional, mental, and purpose. It's shown that way very specifically, not because any one of them is more important than the other. They are all equally important. The point of showing it this way is it's important to build from the base up. So physical, if you don't have a good, solid physical base, it doesn't have to be top of the world, but it has to be reasonably good. Otherwise, your other 3 energy types will never be fully stable. Similarly, if your emotional energy isn't reasonably stable, then you won't be able to use this fantastic instrument between your ears as well as you could if your emotional energy was stable. So the more stable your emotional energy, the more bang for your mental energy buck you'll get. And then when we get to purpose, purpose sits on top because it's the driving force behind so much of your energy. I'll explain a little bit more about that in a moment. So physical energy, when I ask you how's your physical energy, it's related to the quantity of energy you feel, and it's driven primarily and influenced primarily by the three factors you see here on the screen: nutrition, and then exercise, fitness, and so on, and relaxation and sleep. So you don't need to share it with me, you don't need to share in the chat box, but I'd just like you to think at this very moment, today, whatever the time is, it's 16:10 in Holland at least. What, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give yourself for physical energy at the moment? No questions asked, just physical energy. Note it down or make a mental note of it. And I'll come back to that in a moment. So physical energy, all about these three things. Now, I'll go into a little bit more detail about the three things when I talk about the boosters, but let's have a look at emotional energy. Now, lo and behold, emotional energy is driven by your emotions, which of course are feelings, which of course are thoughts. And the thing is, it's a lot more complex than this, but basically when you look at emotional energy, it's about the balance between your positive and negative emotions. The more positive emotions you've got, and the less negative emotions you've got, then the higher your emotional energy will be, and the more stable you will be emotionally. As I say, there's a lot more complexities relating to it when we talk about the types of stress you can get. There's positive stress called eustress, comes from the Greek, and there's negative stress, which is like distress. But the basic thing is that positive emotions increase your emotional energy. They also increase your happiness, they increase your productivity, and whatever your definition of success is, it will increase your success. Negative emotions have the opposite effect, as I'm sure you can imagine. So the thing about this is, and this has been research that's been conducted by different studies around the world. Positive people live longer, okay? And we're not just talking days here, we're talking years. Now, I don't want to get into quantifying all that kind of stuff either, but it's kind of like a no-brainer. Why would you not work on being more positive? Again, you don't have to be like Stephen Bossman here or Richard Maddocks, who are, sort of bouncing around Stouterballer, bouncing around all over the place with their positive energy. That's not the point. The point is about having positive emotions. So on the scale of 1 to 10, what's at this moment? What's your emotional energy level at the moment? So make a note of that. There's no good or bad. It's just facing up to what is it at the moment, for whatever reason. Maybe great things have happened today. Maybe less good things have happened today. All righty. Mental energy. Boy, have you got a fantastic brain. We all have. But we use it in such a limited way so often. We have so much more potential to unleash, and that's primarily controlled by the brain. But it's got to be in good shape. You've got to keep it in good shape in all sorts of ways. Now, when it's in good shape, we can start talking about high mental energy, when you can focus, you can have laser focus, you can concentrate for extended periods of time, and you can really apply the mental skills and abilities that you have and all sorts of different talents that you have in a much better way when your mental energy is high. So it's about how good are you at focusing and concentrating, how alert are you, how awake are you, how alive are you in that sense mentally. And you'll probably be expecting the question, what's the current mental energy level for yourself? 1 to 10. Then we come to purpose. Oh, I love this purpose energy stuff. I'm just in the middle of, I was telling Stefan before we started, I'm just in the middle of being filmed for an online training program, which is primarily about purpose. It's actually called Turbocharge Your Work. But the main thing that I talk about, at least for half of the 12-session online training, is about purpose. Because it is so key in driving your energies. When your purpose energy is high, when you know the reason you're doing things, you know your whys, when you really understand what your values are and you live in line with your values, then your purpose energy is high, and boy, can you achieve so much. You make things happen. So we build our energies from the bottom up in this pyramid: purpose, then emotional, then mental, then from the whole physical, then emotional, then mental, then purpose. But the force of your energies comes from the top down. When your purpose energy is high, you get so much more extra energy, so much more impact from your other three energy types. So I say all four of them are key for different reasons. All four of them are equally important for different reasons. But your purpose energy is high, like I said, when you live in accordance with your core values. People will often say to me, they say, "Oh, Richard, do you mean personal values or business values?" I say, you only have one set of values in my book. You might often compromise your values when you're in business at work, but you have one set of values. So when you're living in line with what's most important to you, when you're able to contribute to the world around you, the little world, the bigger world, when you can add value, that also helps to keep your purpose energy very high. When you're experiencing personal growth, when you're unleashing more of your fabulous potential, that drives your purpose energy higher too. And so on and so forth. And I say to people, it's not about, you don't have a purpose in life, by the way. Nobody has, in my opinion, this is all Maddocks theory, but anyway, you don't have a purpose. You have many purposes. It's all about living purposefully. It's about living intentionally. So at this moment, what's your purpose energy level on a scale of 1 to 10? So that hopefully you've now got 4 different numbers there: physical, emotional, mental, and purpose. And you could add them all up. You say, "Oh, my total score is this," and we could talk about that. But what I'd like you to do is to, when we go into breakout rooms now, and Stefan's going to set those up just in groups of 3, then I'd like you to talk about, in your little groups, you don't have to share your scores, but please feel free to do so. I don't think there's any secrets in this. Which energy type scored the lowest, and why is that at the moment? Which scored the highest, and why? And how do you manage your energy levels? And try and think of them as the 4 types. You can talk about energy in total, but try and think about the 4 types. How do you manage the different types of energy and keep them, hopefully reasonably high, or boost them when they're low? Okay, that's the slideshow so far. Are there any questions before Stefan opens up? Any questions to the exercise rather than the content? We'll have a Q&A at the end of the session, but are there any questions relating to the exercise before Stefan opens the breakout rooms? Then fire away, Stefan. See you shortly. It's just a 5 to 7 minutes, something like that. I got invited to join a breakout room, but I declined. You're on mute, my dear friend.
I know, I arranged it so we both didn't have to join. Arzu couldn't join because she's in the office where when she talks, she disturbs other people.
Okay. So, but then somebody's in a room on their own. So maybe you should move Inge to room 6.
I'm looking. Oh, yeah.
No, I've moved her. Don't you worry.
Okay, great.
I have control too, my friend.
Yeah, I know. You're better at this than most of the time. Oh, Rick moved to 5.
Oh, I don't. Oh, we shouldn't be playing both of this together.
Okay. I'll leave you.
But I'm not sure what's happened here. But
okay. Just Ellen is alone at room 10.
So Rick and Inge are in group. Yeah. I see. Yeah. And who's alone? Oh, Ellen.
Yeah.
Well, can you move her to another room, maybe?
You want me to do it?
Yeah, you do it. Otherwise, we might confuse Zoom.
I will move her to 11. Okay.
So,
Nice start.
Did some people drop off, by the way?
I don't know. I haven't.
No.
I was listening to your story. I was the one who's listening. No.
Jim has rejoined. I think he must have dropped off. So we'll try and put Jim in a breakout room.
Yeah, that went wrong.
Oh, no worries, Jim. I'm going to put you into a breakout room with somebody.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't realize if you had co-hosting like this that you could both control the breakout rooms. That must be a new feature since I last used this.
For me, everything is new. No, it's the second time. But normally I have help.
That's what I understood. Sebastian normally helps you, doesn't he?
Yeah, Sebastian helps me. But we have also other interns, and they are more professional with this than I am.
Okay.
But yeah.
Let's see what we're going to do next. Oh, yes. Physical energy. But you set them up for 5 minutes or 7 minutes, did you?
No, I'm sending a broadcast message to all. I could have set time, but I will send a broadcast message when we are on 1626. So then we have 1 minute, and we have the full 7 minutes.
Okay.
Do you want me to put the questions? No, that's it.
No, no worries. No, it's just to get them involved, really. You know, that's this whole exercise, as you know, the purpose of these types of things is to get people involved.
And it all starts with network.
Absolutely. So let me get my slides ready.
Meeting new people with great purposes brings also energy.
Indeed. Mm-hmm. So you let me know when you're going to bring everybody back in.
Yeah, 3 minutes. I have a timer.
Good man.
I have help.
Such a modern person you are.
Yeah, for sure.
By the way, all this is being recorded, our little chat. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I don't think we're saying anything nasty. I don't think we're saying anything politically incorrect.
And we're yellow and blue. So there's a little bit of Ukraine in us.
There you go. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. I hadn't even recognized that, but indeed.
Yeah, it's green.
Mhm. I was going to say, it looks, yeah, maybe you're slightly colorblind, I was going to say.
Got it from Monique, and she always loves green. So when I get something, it's green.
Okay, let's, oh, Alex Playford. I'm going to admit Alex Playford. Here we go. Hello, Alex. Oh, Michael's coming back in.
Yeah.
Okay. Gonna get, are we ready to roll now?
1 minute.
Coming back, everybody coming back? Yeah.
You want them back?
Oh, no, if you gave them an extra minute, that's fine. Are you there, Alex? Okay, hit the button.
Yeah. You want it back?
Oh, you just gave him 1 minute 30, I saw.
Yeah. That was your 7 minutes cue.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh.
You're doing great, guys. Keep up the good work.
Oh, it's young Michael. Nice to see you, Michael.
Yes, I'm on my way to the train station, so I can't be joining the breakout sessions, but you're doing a great job, Richard and Stefan. Good luck, guys.
Every time I see you, you're in the train station.
That's true. Yeah, I do a lot by public transport. That's true. Yeah.
He loves Leonard Kravitz. Man, I'm always on the run.
Exactly.
Always on the run.
Well, safe journeys, Michael.
Thanks, Richard. Have a nice session. I will follow everything.
Okie dokie.
Okay. 10, 9. Shall I get it back? 5,
Yes, go for it.
4, 3, 2. Oh, it also takes 1 minute to close them.
Oh, that's the way it's set up then, yeah. Oh, well.
Okay.
No worries.
Oh, that's strange.
No worries. You see, I knew you were new to Zoom. I could sense that.
Oh, no.
I'll make you a guru yet.
I can make a joke now. Old guys and technique.
Yeah.
But it's sorry, guys.
Well, we're all a lot older than you, Michael. You're still a very young man, you see. But yeah, I reckon most people know how to use this better than us, Stephen.
Yeah. I just have help.
Yeah, I know.
I love to have help.
Well, welcome back, everybody. And Stefan and I were just joking. I thought Stefan was a guru at Zoom. I just found out this is his second time actually using it or actually controlling it. But there you go. Had I known that, we would have we've probably had you back a little bit earlier. But I hope that gave you even extra time to have these conversations about your energy levels. Now, it's probably not a good idea to get in talking about that now because it would put us way out of schedule. But let's get back to that if you have questions about it at the end of the session. But the point I want to make is that these 4 energy levels, as I said, they are constantly changing. They're constantly interacting. And it's really good to keep a check on them. It's good to keep a check on your overall energy level, I often do that several times a day, just thinking about, hey, what's my energy level at the moment? If I've just had a session or about to go into a meeting or something like that. And then I'll check it again. It's like taking your pulse when you come out of the session or the meeting. How was it then? What was different? What changed? Why was it boosted? Why was it decreased? So that's one way to do it. But I say it's really important from managing your total energy to look at the 4 individual types as well throughout. So let's have a look some of those in more detail. And again, we go back to the slide share. And let's hope it works just as well again this time. Here we go. Let's get physical, as they say. So physical sits on the bottom of the pyramid. And as I mentioned before, really important to build from the base up. So make sure you've always got a reasonably solid, hopefully to great physical base, because the rest rests upon that, as it were. 3 key areas. And each of those, I could talk to you, well, as probably many of you know, I can talk on any subject for many hours, but I could talk to you certainly for many hours about these 3 things. And we've only got a short space of time. So I'm going to pick out 2 boosters in specific, one to talk about nutrition and one to talk about relaxation and sleep. The thing I would say about exercise, again, all these 3 are important. As you probably know, if you want to lose weight or you want to manage your weight better, you can manage that for about 20–25% through exercise and fitness. The rest is diet. It's elke pontje gaat door het mondje, so as the saying goes, I think, in Dutch. But whatever it is, it's really important to work on these 3 areas when you're busy with your physical energy. So let me pick out an easy one and talk about nutrition. When we're dealing with nutrition, we talk many different aspects of it, but one of the things we talk about is the balance between need and want. And here we're not looking for 50-50. We're looking for more need going into your system and less amount of want. The best balance, people say, is kind of 80-20. Hey, I'm not a saint. I certainly like glasses of wine and I like a few other things as well. And I suppose on average, my balance is about 70-30. I try and don't let it get below that. But it's really important to think about when you're looking at nutrition, what is your diet? If you want to get down to the calorie level and so on. So I don't personally think that's necessary. I think it's much better if you look at it at this high level, need versus want. So think about it from that perspective, how your diet is when you want to manage your physical energy better. And then there's this. This, I think, is the most key aspect to nutrition. Supply versus demand. It's a really simple equation and a simple thing to think about. Now, I don't know if you're a person who takes breakfast or skips breakfast or whatever. I can tell you, you really should not skip breakfast. Everybody can. Everybody can skip breakfast. But as the saying goes, you can't start the Ferrari without fuel in it. And when you wake up in the morning, in principle, you've hopefully had at least 6, maybe more hours sleep, hopefully not more than 8. They say 6 to 8 is perfect. But you've been in a fasting state. You haven't had any intake. And that's why we call it breakfast. You're breaking the fast. That is literally where the word comes from. You're breaking the nighttime fast, at least most of us sleep at nighttime. And so you need to start the day with some fuel. Now, the standard way of eating is people skip or have a small breakfast, have a slightly bigger lunch, and then a massive meal at dinner time. Much better to balance it throughout the day. And there's another saying in English where you say, like, breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dine like a pauper. In that sense, as a poor person. So you eat big and less throughout the day. So that's one aspect to thinking about eating 3 meals a day. And then there's the gaps in between. That kind of like 11s feeling, which many people get, depending on what time they get up, at 10 o'clock or whatever in the morning. And again, in the afternoon, you get that afternoon dip, you've had the lunch. And well, the idea is to give yourself a strategic snack in between dinner to breakfast and lunch, and between lunch and dinner, and then maybe again before you go to bed, a couple of hours before you go to bed. And a strategic snack is a combination of some form of protein, if you like, and some form of sugar to give you that boost. So that's the ideal way to balance your nutrition. And I guarantee you, you get a 100%, not you paid any money for this, but you get a 100% money back guarantee. If you follow this pattern, you will find more stable physical energy levels throughout your day. So I say to people, eat like a baby. Don't mean being spoon-fed, although that could be a nice way to be fed, but I mean, eat something healthy every 2 to 3 hours, literally every 2 to 3 hours. And if you're going to do that, you need to make sure you have it available. It's kind of like people go, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Richard Maddocks said, eat a healthy snack. Oh, I don't have everything healthy at the moment. I'll eat this. Now, if you're going to eat a healthy snack, which is kind of like some form of protein, nuts, fresh and dried fruit, cheese, yogurt, like that, you've got to make sure you've got it available. If you're at home, that's normally easier, but you still got to make sure you've got it in the fridge or in the cupboard. And if you're traveling or at work, then you've got to have it with you. So really key stuff to do. Eat like a baby. Don't skip any meals. Try to eat less in the evening. Try to eat less at dinner time. You know, I'm not saying don't go out for a wonderful 3 or 4 course meal or whatever. I mean, occasionally have a binge. But in general, try and make sure your dinner plate, as it were, is no bigger or only slightly bigger than your lunch plate. And various ways to do that. You can actually limit the physical size of the plate. That helps to eat less. And also make sure you don't empty the pot, as it were. I got brought up saying the pot has to be emptied. You know, that's one of my mum's philosophies. Not very healthy, mum. You know, the idea is try and make sure you just eat a light dinner. Anyway, you got the message, I think, on that one. Eat like a baby. By the way, you'll see these numbers popping up like booster number 11. They just refer to the book that I wrote that was published a couple of years ago called The Energy Book. And it's the specific number of that energy booster. Let's look at sleep, relaxation type stuff. So this is one of the things I love to share with people. Many people know about this because they do yoga or they've read it, and then a lot of people don't know about it. And even if they do know about it, a lot of people don't unfortunately practice it. And it's really interesting, you know, because it's kind of like, hi, Richard, you don't need to teach me how to breathe. You know, I came out, from the moment I was born, I could breathe. And we all do it 24/7, otherwise we wouldn't be here. So we know how to breathe. But do you know how to breathe correctly? The best way of breathing. You know, why do you breathe? You breathe to mainly take in oxygen. And you breathe out to get rid of toxins and carbon dioxide and all sorts of stuff. Your body has 2 main needs above all other things. It's water, because you consist of 65 to 70% of water, and oxygen. The more oxygen you get, up to a certain limit, the more oxygen you get into your system, the better you will be, the healthier you will be at the cellular level. And when you're healthy at the cellular level, you're healthy overall. And the more physical energy you will have. You know, your energy, your physical energy, comes from the tiny little cells, of which you've got billions of them. It comes from little power engines called mitochondria that are part of your little tiny cells. And the mitochondria need water and they need oxygen. So most medical experts will tell you that the vast majority of people are only using about half of their full capacity to breathe. That's quite interesting. Yeah? The whole of your life so far, you might only have been using half of your potential capacity to take in one of the most important sources and resources that you need, oxygen. If you want to improve this, then the best way to do this is nasal breathing. It's a combination of what I call nasal and belly breathing. Many people breathe through their mouth, which is kind of weird. You know, it wasn't designed for that. It'd be like eating through your nose, you know, sort of like, so the nose is designed for breathing, the mouth is designed for eating, and coincidentally, it can breathe as well. It can take in air. But many people, they breathe huge amount through their mouth, which is okay sometimes, like if you're pedaling away on your bike like I was today, but always still try and breathe in through your nose. It has an amazing impact on your lungs. It helps you to take in your oxygen more slowly so that it gets more easily absorbed by your lungs. And it helps you to expand your diaphragm or push your diaphragm down and expand your lungs. When you breathe out through your nose, it forms a certain resistance in your system, which helps you to ease the carbon dioxide out more slowly and helps you to strengthen your lung capacity as well. So there's all sorts of reasons for it. Now, I'm not saying you have to breathe in and out through your nose, but try and practice more breathing in through your nose at least. And if you don't breathe out through your nose, breathe out through pursed lips, sort of, you know, slightly closed lips. That will help you for sure to increase your oxygen intake. But the main extra thing to do is the belly breathing. Now, many people find this not a particularly attractive way because it sort of changes their posture around their middle, but it is the way to breathe. If you belly breathe, and that means you can do it now. You can put your hands on your stomach and breathe in and see if your hands move. When you breathe in and out, your hands are on your stomach. They should move out and back then when you breathe out. If they're not doing that, you're breathing too high. You're breathing in your chest, as it were. This results in all sorts of things, hypertension and so on and so on. But when you breathe through your belly, your diaphragm goes down. That's what it was built for. And it expands your lung capacity by more than 30%, 30 to 40%. So that gives you more room. You get the combination of nasal and belly breathing. I tell you, it's a magical feeling. And it's neat for nicks that this is one of the main techniques that they teach this in yoga sessions. So you want more physical energy, breathe like a yogi. Nasal breathing, belly breathing. And just practice it for a few times a day. Take a couple of minutes. Oh yeah, write it down, make a note, put it, alarm on your phone, practice for a couple of minutes, a few times a day. And lo and behold, within a couple of weeks, you will find that it's become automatic pilot. And you can always, if somebody does belly breathing, that you make them jump, they'll breathe in their chest and they'll feel it, really strongly, and then go back to the belly breathing. Anyways, those are the two boosters I wanted to share with you about today, the only time I had for physical energy. Boost your energy by managing your nutrition, balance the need versus want, 80-20, max 70-30, and breathe like a yogi, nasal and belly breathing. You will notice, I promise you, a massive effect within a couple of weeks. Let's get emotional. Now, I said to you just now at the beginning, emotional energy is all about your emotions. And it's really important, as all four are, when we've built the physical base reasonably strongly, then we work on the mental on the emotional to make sure that the mental energy and purpose on top of that will keep stable. I promise you, and you probably recognize this, that when you're emotional stable, you can think better, you can think more clearly, you can focus more, and so forth. So it's all about emotions. How do you make sure you get more positive emotions in life and less negative? You can't avoid the negatives. They will come. And I'm not saying you should go out of your way to avoid negative emotions. It's often and mainly about how do you manage them when they happen? How do you react? How do you respond? I'm going to focus on sharing 2 boosters with you that are about giving you extra positive energy. So if you ever do come across my book, the energy book, you'll find loads of boosters in there to help you more on all 4 types of energy. But I'd say I'll share these 2 with you, then they're focused not on managing the negative energy down, they're managing on positive energy upwards. And it's really important, you know, because it's not about being really positive, although I do believe that it's great if you can be. And people have said to me virtually my whole life, they said, oh, you're really lucky, Richard. You were kind of born positive and you got this positive disposition. I kind of think I was born positive. My mum was very positive and pumped me full of positive energy throughout my whole life until she died a couple of years ago at 91. Still going positive, she was. But anyway, the point is, I'm not always positive. And I work on it many times every single day. Every single day, from the moment I get up to the moment I go to bed, there's stuff happening with me, and very sometimes specific stuff where I'm working on being positive or boosting my positive energy. Let me share a couple of the ways I do this. I said to you from the moment I wake up. Before I get out of bed in the morning, I plant positive thoughts in my head. Often even before I've managed to unzip my eyes, I will plant 2 or 3 positive thoughts in my head. Simple things like I'll be saying to myself, okay, Richard, every single person you meet today is going to get bundles of positive energy from you. Or today, I'm going to do the absolute best, my bestest best today in everything I do, even if it's stuff I don't want to do, even if it's routine, boring stuff, I'm going to do my absolute best. The thing I use as the second one, I vary them. I don't have a set of things, but I vary them. But the thing that I use as the second one every single day is, Richard Maddocks, this is the most important day of your life. Because all my yesterdays are gone and the tomorrows, yeah, I'm hoping I got loads more tomorrows, but today's the only day I've got. So I'm going to make it a great day. Now, I tell you, I don't normally wake up like a spring coil, you know, bouncing out of bed, but I never have to drag myself out of bed. I don't get sheet adhesion, as we call it. I'm somewhere in the middle. But when I plant these positive thoughts in my head, I want to get up and get going. It has that effect on me. But the other effect it has on me is that I create anchors. So when I get during the day, and like this morning, I was doing something I found really, really boring. I was doing some administration. Now, I'm not one of those people that likes admin. I don't know many people that do, except bookkeepers and accountants. But anyways, I was doing some admin and I was sort of like, oh, shit, I really hate doing admin. And then it was like, hey, Richard Maddocks, this is the most important day of your life. You're going to go around with this grumpy face where you, no. And it kicks me back into a positive frame of thinking. Now, I know this sounds very simplistic, and it is. It isn't complex. None of this stuff is complex, but you have to do it. And by doing this again, like all these things, you know, you've probably come across this expression. It's been around for ages, actually, but people now have started making lots of money at writing books and giving workshops on tiny habits. Well, you know, you create habits by creating rituals, by doing something the same, you know, the same thing, little thing, many times, preferably at least on a daily basis if you can. And if you do these things, you create a ritual, which is a conscious routine. You have to remind yourself of it. It would turn into a non-conscious routine, which is a habit. So if you do this kind of stuff I'm talking about, and you do it for, you know, the standard is people say, oh, do it for 21 days. Well, whatever, do it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I guarantee it will start to become a real conscious routine, a good habit. And you will notice a difference. I can't tell you how many hundreds and hundreds of people have told me the benefits they get from these things since I've been sharing this stuff with them. It really works, but you have to put in the effort. No free lunch. The second thing I want to share with you is about how you can give yourself an immediate emotional energy boost. I told you it's mainly driven by your emotions, the way you feel, your emotional energy. But the way you feel, which you might not know, is hugely impacted by your physiology. Your physiology, in my terms then, being your posture, your breathing, and your body movement or lack of it. Now, I don't know if you're going to do this exercise with me. It's best if you stand up and do it. So if the exercise is 2 parts, and in the first part, I want you to experience this sort of sadness and heaviness and anxiety, or at least sadness and heaviness. So if you stand up and start feeling negative, hunch your shoulders, kind of like let yourself hang like a sack of potatoes. That's the posture. And now breathing. I just told you about belly breathing. I want you now to do chest breathing. Breathe fast and breathe high in your chest. Now look at the floor whilst you're breathing and think of something recently that was negative, something that happened to you or made you feel sad or down. How's your energy? When most people do this exercise, they don't feel on top of the world. Let's put it like that. Now, shake that off, because now I want you to experience the opposite, a confident, energized feeling. I want you to feel light. So stand up straight, as the military would say, stand up straight, chest out, shoulders back. Stand up straight at least, put your chest out, feel good. Have your chin up. We're not looking at the floor. If anything, we're looking a little bit upwards. We're breathing now, belly breathing. Breathing through the nose and breathing out through the belly, or through the mouth, but do the belly breathing. Let that belly go in and out. And look up, slightly up, and think of something positive. Think of the sunshine. Think of holidays, think of fantastic moments that have happened or are going to happen to you. It's a totally different energy level than the one we just experienced. Now, that's the exercise, just to get you feeling that if you did it. But the idea is the way you feel is driven by your physiology for a large part. And so when we're sitting behind our desks and we're working away at our computers or whatever you're doing, when we're doing this, it doesn't mean to say that you're feeling down all the time, but already your posture is suffering, and already often you are certainly not moving. Yeah, you're moving your fingers or moving your arms. So you need to get up and move around, I would say at least every 30 minutes, preferably more often. I don't mean to say take a break, that's something different, but get up and move around a bit. But if you want to have immediate change, and this is something that Tony Robbins, I don't know if you've come across him, and not that I necessarily love Tony Robbins, you can love him or hate him, I do both, I think, but anyway, Tony Robbins is quite famous for making this popular. It wasn't his thing, but it's about making your move. If you want to change your state in a heartbeat, then you make a radical change in your physiology. You make what's called your move. And I show you what mine is. And that's what I did this morning. I was doing my admin and thinking this and thinking, oh, Maddocks, it's going to be the most important day of your life. And I get up and I do this. Laugh if you like, but whatever. I get up and do this, and then I go, yes, literally like that. So I take that, this is my move, arms out the side, I get my fists together, and I go, yes. Now, I don't actually shout it out if I'm surrounded by loads of people, although I don't usually bother to let people keep me inhibited like that, but it disturbs them. It normally makes them jump. But I say it in my head if there are too many people around. That's my move. And it's an instantaneous energy boost. I guarantee you, you can experience the same. We're going to take a 5-minute break now. In this 5-minute break, if you can think about your move, what's something that would work for you? What is something? It doesn't have to be a yes. It can just be whatever. You know, some people go, put their arms up in the air, but it requires movement. It requires a change in your physiology. And it's often good to have a word or 2 words or whatever that you could say softly in your head or a mime or say out loud. That's your move. So see if you can come up with creating your move, and we'll see you. Hopefully you'll be back in 5 minutes. We're going to keep it to a solid maximum 5 minutes. I'll be back on in 4. So see you in a few minutes. And yeah, so, oh, I think he is. By the way, a big thank you to Stefan for organizing this. And it's not one of my talents, as some of you would know. I have other things, but thank you very much, Stefan, for organizing this and giving me the opportunity to share and for everybody to participate. And hopefully there'll be time for Stefan just to say a couple of words at the end. But anyway, for now, I hope you've been thinking about your move. I was thinking about trying to ask you all to show it, but you don't, because not many people are hiding behind their cameras with cameras off. We won't do that anyway, but it is a really great way to instantaneously change your emotional state, as it were, change your state in a positive way, in a heartbeat. And once you've changed it, it will continue that way for quite a while. And there are so many different ways. It's like I said to you, I do these things all day. You know, several times a day, I'm giving myself a kick up the backside in a positive energy way. And it's not because, oh, I'm down or this, no, but it just keeps my energy at a really high level where I want it to be, the emotional energy. Well, let's talk about how we do that with mental energy. Because I promised you in this brief time together to cover all 4 types. So we're going back to slide share again. And now you should be seeing a slide showing part of your fabulous brain, mental energy, all about how good are you at focusing. Look at these figures. I mean, it's kind of interesting. You know, we have so many challenges in life, and whether that's with or without pandemics and wars, it's very challenging to keep on top of things. It's very challenging to keep your energy levels high, and your mental energy, particularly if you're a knowledge worker, which I guess almost everybody, if not everybody on this session is. Knowledge workers, we have the capacity to be able to use our brains, fantastic, but it's also the energy level and the energy type that gets used the most. The energy gets hammered. And it's really important to understand how you manage this, how you boost it, but also how you manage it. Now, it's not surprising that we all have difficulty in focusing, or at least the vast majority of people do. And that's the one I want to pick up on. How do you focus? Because the vast majority of people have trouble doing that. Well, let's talk about how do you work? Are you a so-called multitasker? Now, you don't have to put your hands up in the air here, but a lot of people will say, yep, I can multitask. And you can. If you can drive a car or any vehicle, you can multitask. If you can cook a dinner with multiple elements to that dinner, you can multitask. Because that's what multitasking is. What you are doing at work isn't actually multitasking most of the time, because multitasking is doing different activities that all have the same end result in mind. When you're driving a vehicle, a car, a motorbike, or whatever, then you are hopefully driving from A to B to get from A to B in the safest way possible. Some people would say also in the quickest time possible, shortest time possible, but that's what you're trying to do. And you're doing lots of different things at the same time. When you're cooking a meal, you're trying to cook the dinner and do the meat and the potatoes and this, try and get it all to come together at the same time. That's multitasking. That is not the same as when you're working behind your computer with your PowerPoint and your telephone is on and your Microsoft Outlook or whatever system you're using is popping up, throwing up messages. That is not multitasking when you're switching from one thing to another and simultaneously listening to a conversation of somebody else that's going on behind you. That is what we call switch tasking. So switch tasking is when Richard Maddocks sits behind his computer working on this, putting these slides together. He's got his phone on just in case one of his 7 grandkids sends him a WhatsApp message that always gives him a positive energy boost. He's got his email on because he's expecting some important emails to come in. And whilst they're working on the presentation, fully in the full flow, in the flow state, where you're focused, fully focused, laser focused, and ping, the phone goes off. I start, look at it. Oh, yeah, it's one of the grandkids. Answer that message. And oh, Outlook's popped up. Oh, I wonder if it's that important email I was waiting. Have a look at that. Oh, yeah, answer that email. And then go back to the presentation. I get back to the presentation, but not in the flow state. When your mind is in flow state, you've got laser focus. You can produce so much more and better quality. Proven time and time and time again. Your quality is better. Your productivity is higher. It takes less time when you are in your flow state of mind. And that is when you are single tasking. Now, that is really not easy to do. There are so many distractions for all of us. And the internet in every way, shape or form, and all social medias, they are, they're instruments of distraction. They are designed to be that way. So you have to make sure that you, for as much as possible, that you can keep to be what I call indistractable. Shut yourself off from the world. Now that isn't easy. I don't think many of you single task a lot of the time. You probably know how to. But if you want to manage your mental energy better, if you want to have more impact with your mental energy, I strongly recommend that more than once a day, you take a block. I say here, let me see, what have I said here? Oh, no, 30-minute blocks. Even if it's 20 minutes. Take multiple times per day, 20 to 30-minute blocks of time, not less than 20, and focus on one task in that particular block, and a different task maybe in another block. By making yourself indistractable, because you, like me, I'm an addict. I'm addicted to distraction. It's the human in us. We were born that way, and I'm told from a fairly reliable source that it comes from back in the hunter-gatherer times when we had to be looking out for everything going on. Well, nowadays, we don't have to be looking out for those things. We don't have to be looking out normally, at least for the lion that's about to leap upon us or whatever, but we get distracted so easily. So you have to, if you're working on something, turn everything off. Turn every application off if you're using a computer. Every application except the one you really need to use. Turn your phone off, not on silent, put it away somewhere that you can't even see it. Put headphones on, noise cancelling if you like, or some pleasant music that, just in the background as it were. Shut yourself off from the world. You will find your quality will go up with the work, your productivity will go up, and it will take you less time to do things. So that's the quick thing I wanted to share with you about mental energy. And try and remember that word. I don't think it's in the English dictionary yet. I keep trying to get words in the English dictionary, and the Oxford University keep refusing me, but I tried to get the word employing in the English dictionary because I love that word so much. and employing spelt with a Y, like employing, but they said no, they didn't like it. I've tried indistractable as well, but anyway, maybe I'll get more success with that. Make yourself indistractable as much as possible. Let's move on to purpose, the fourth key element and energy type. Sits on top, and like I said to you right at the beginning, it drives, it's the force behind so much of all of your energies. And it's a challenging one. It is a challenging one. So when people, I also said this earlier, when people go out and say, oh, but I don't know what my purpose in life is. I say, yeah, you don't have to have the purpose, the mission, why you're here on this planet. You have many reasons. What's your purpose at work? You don't have one purpose. You have many purposes at work. Now, I don't have the time, we don't have the time to go into all this detail about how you find purpose moments at work and something, but it is possible. And I'm going to share something with you that makes it at least easier to help understanding how you could live more purposefully, because that's what it's about. Living more intentionally, living more purposefully, living more consciously. I said to you, you will be, your purpose level or energy level will be high when you know what your core values are and when you're living in line with them. There are all sorts of ways you can do that. You can go on the internet and look up sets of core values so that you can help you identify your core values if you haven't yet done that. Again, I refer back to my book. There's an exercise in there where it can help you to do that. But however you do it, try and understand what are your 5, 4, 5, maybe 6 core values. And then start thinking about how you are living in line with that when you're not at work, when you're at work, when you're at play, and so forth. That's one way that will really help. Another way is to be thinking about contribution and growth. We all have 6 basic needs. Combination from looking at people like Maslow and others who would tell you this. We have 6 basic needs. I'm not going into the 4, the primal ones, where we're talking about certainty or the converse, uncertainty, variety or routine, significance, connection and no connection. Those are really, really important in terms of your life and managing your life. The thing I want to focus on in terms of managing your purpose energy are the 2 purpose needs. We all have this. It's built into the human psyche. We all have a need to grow. Doesn't mean to say you want to be the best in the world at this, whether it's a sport or a subject, or you need to be able to be the very best in any particular thing that you're trying to learn about, be the most knowledgeable, the most experienced. It's not about that. But we all have an innate need that needs to be satisfied to grow, even if it's teeny weeny bits. And we all have a need to contribute. We all want to add value. I don't believe, cannot possibly believe, that there's anybody on this call or anywhere, to be honest, in the world that doesn't want to wake up and contribute something. You don't wake up thinking, I hope I have a really bad day. I hope I contribute nothing. I hope everything I do is wasted. Of course you don't. You want to contribute, you want to add value to your nearest and dearest, to your people around you, to the world in general, whatever it is. I'm not going to ask you to do this exercise now. I suggest you do it after the session, if you want to do it. You'll get a copy of the slides. Stephen's going to be sending a PDF around, and he's also, I think, recording some of this, although maybe not this part of it, but whatever. Oh, he is, there we go. But you'll get a copy of the slides so you can refer back to it. How have you grown in your life in the last 12 months? You can be as expansive or as limited as you like, but in which areas of your life have you grown? How have your relationships developed? All of them. I don't mean every single one, but all types of relationships. Intimate relationship, if you have one, relationships with family, if you have family, relationship with friends, I hope you have friends, a relationship with colleagues, but How have your relationships grown and developed? What have you learned, etc.? And how would you like the next 12 months to be? Just make a few notes on that. Don't have to immediately get into action planning. Just by thinking about this stuff, your purpose energy will go up a little bit. And similarly, when we look at contribution, what do you do, if anything? What do you do every single day to consistently impact somebody around you? Even if it's just a smile that you give when you're checking out at the supermarket, at the cashier, or whatever it be. What are the things you do every day, day in, day out, to contribute to the world around you? And now think more specifically. What have you contributed at work? What have you contributed to other people? At work, at play, at home, in the family, outside the family? What have you specifically contributed? And again, similar to the question I asked just now about growth, how would you like your contributions to be in the coming period? How could you increase your contributions to your small world or your bigger world? If you answer these questions, again, I stress, you do not immediately have to launch yourself into action planning and other goals, but it will start to influence your purpose energy level. And you will probably find yourself wanting, if you've written this stuff down and noted it, starting to work on how you're going to grow and how you're going to contribute. I emphasize again, we all have these needs. They're really basic. They are part of the human psyche. I would love to share so much more with you, but unfortunately we don't have that much time. So I'm just going to get to a little wrap up, and then Stefan would like to say a few words. But if you want to increase purpose energy, you've got to mainly think about things. Take time back, take time to reflect. Define your core values, as I mentioned just now. It will help you decide your priorities in life, and then you can start living them. And work on this growth and contribution. Those are some of the key things involved in purpose energy. So what could you do? Well, buy the book if you haven't got it already. Available on any site, any Amazon site. How do you establish permanent change? I mentioned that if you want to create permanent change, then one of the ways to do that is to create good habits. And good habits, you create them by creating rituals. A habit is a non-conscious routine. A ritual is a conscious routine. So you want to make a tiny change. You want to say, right, I'm going to eat a healthy snack in the mid-morning, mid-afternoon. What are you going to eat? Start thinking about it. Start planning it. Start the ritual. What time are you going to eat it? Set it in your phone. Okay, 10:30 or 11 o'clock every morning. In the afternoon, you'll get the message from your phone, and make sure you got something available. Make a ritual out of that. And if you keep that up for a number of times, a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, you'll find it turns into a good habit. If you like, if you go, there's a website called the-energybook.com. There are some free resources on there. If you go to the tab Energy Resources, you'll find a number of things there. There's an energy profiler, there's a motivation factors exercise, but there's also this. It's a way to help you plan your rituals, to actually create them. It's called the active template. Last thing I want to say is energy renewal is essential. I assume most of you sleep, and probably at night. I hope you get good solid sleeps, and as you get older, they get a bit more disturbed, as some of you might know already, but whatever. Sleep is really important. It's a renewal time. We have working weeks, work days and non-work days normally in life. Where in the non-work days, we kind of recharge a bit in certain areas. We sometimes take holidays and recharge. But every single day of every single week, you should be looking to recharge your energies. not just by sleeping and having non-work days and holidays. It's really essential. And the simple way you do that is you take a break, a renewal break. Every minimum 90 minutes. I said earlier, every 30 minutes, get up, walk around, wave around a bit, sit down again. When you do this, I'm talking 5 to 15 minutes, a real break. Leave your work behind, do whatever, leave what you're doing and not work, do something else. All sorts of things. It's a no-brainer. Some people, again, like they skip breakfast. Breakfast is for wimps. Breaks, I don't need a break, just carry on. Rubbish. High performers take breaks. High performers eat breakfast. High performers take breaks. Because they know their brain works better, their health is better, they can better focus and so forth. Now, there's all sorts of things you can do. These are just examples of things, but you can do something physical to boost your physical energy. You can do something to boost your emotional energy. You can do all sorts of things, but you take a break every minimum 90 minutes. If you're working from home, I'd say every 60 minutes. So I would say, again, it's a simple thing for me to say. I know unless you decide you will do it, it won't happen. It won't happen just because you've got a good intention. I say to people day in, day out, the biggest gaps in the world are between I will and I do. You can have good intentions, but if you don't execute, it doesn't happen. Now, I suggest you, from today on, every working day at least, take minimum 5 breaks per day, 5 to 15 minutes. And you don't make up for it by saying, oh, I'll just take a longer lunch break. No, you need to do it regularly throughout the day. So I would say, what will you do today to make all of your days, all of your tomorrows, even more full of energy? That was the show from me. Thank you for bearing with me. There's a few minutes if we want to have any Q&A that I could help with, and then I want to hand over to Stefan just to wrap up. So, there's a question coming in, I think. Let me have a look. Oh yeah, I tried intermittent fasting and eating vegan for energy. I thought it helped, but I'd love to hear your take about these two. I think intermittent fasting is great. I think in terms of, I don't believe in doing this too regularly. I think it can have a negative effect. That's my personal experience when I've tried it. I don't do it anymore. I have done it in the past, and I found indeed it did work for me. Vegan, I'm afraid I'm not qualified to talk about. I've never gone down that route. I know many who have, and many have benefited from it. But I think, again, that's very personal. And it will depend, again, on the balance of the diet. Say nutrition is, of course, really, really important. Part of nutrition is water. The amount of water you take in is key to your amount of oxygen you take is key to your energy. So it's not just about the nutritional aspects. It's also about the amount of oxygen you take in, the amount of water. Everybody, whatever their size or weight, should be taking somewhere between 1.5 and 2.5 liters of water per day. Coffee doesn't count, and nor does tea, unless it's sort of like green tea that you just wave a bag over. But it's because, as you probably know, caffeine drinks at least the dehydrants. So, but it's certainly the balance. If you're eating vegan, I'm sure it can be great, but make sure you look in all aspects of the diet and not just the vegan aspect. Okay, any more messages? You're very kind, lots of you, thank you. But no questions anyway. Well, it's been my pleasure, but I'd like to hand over to Stephen. And again, once again, Stephen, thank you for setting this up. And if you'd like to say a couple of words, because one of the initiatives that Stephen is involved in, Stephen is what I would call a serial entrepreneur. He's an amazing powerhouse of energy and ideas. and he does lots of business activities. He also gives a huge contribution to society in various different ways. One of the things he's doing is he's driving this sustainable development groove. It's sort of the ecosystem of the sustainable development growth that he's trying to drive. And maybe you could say a few words about that, Stefan.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you. Amazing to listen always to you and to meet you always. I like the story about the break also. The thing is, top athletes use breaks because they win by their breaks and not only by the exercises they do. And the funny thing, we both love music a lot. Music is the motion of music, and the music comes to life with breaks. Without breaks, it's just noise. That's the funny thing. Yeah, I want to thank you also from my colleague, Michael. We started Boost the SDG ecosystem some time ago. The simple thing is we have to make impact. We have to start changing how we act, how we contribute to life, to create value. So we started Boost the SDG ecosystem, and that's an organization that's focused on accelerating the impact of the SDGs. How we do that, we match, connect, and build collaborations between startups, scale-ups, experts, government, corporates, and investors. And it's all about organizing energy to create impact. So that's mainly what we do. So if you want to know more about that, we can answer afterwards. I'm also founder, and that's also where it connects directly on my purpose. I'm also founder of Candidate-1st. In these times, everybody's looking for talent. The scarcity of talent accelerates technology. We believe that the world is about tech and touch. New technologies, and most important, human touch. It's all about how we make decisions, how we create experience, how we create value. What's our legacy? So we help high potentials to reach their full potential with specific programs. And in these programs, we focus on basically what we do now is also network, build high performance teams, and how you innovate and grow. And therefore we mentor and nurture our high potentials. And that all starts with your topic, energy, because it all starts with us. To reach your full potential, you first have to get your cup full. So that's the most important element. And that's why we are very happy with this 90 minutes of energy boost. One of our principles, our 3 principles, is inspire. You have to inspire people, but also you have to be inspired. So thank you for today. I'm inspired by you and inspired by everybody who joined. And the other element is for us is build trust. And the last thing, you call it contribution. We call it, you share it always. We say pass it on. So we pass our knowledge and information and everything we do. So our next event is about the topic cybersecurity, digital transformation, which is coming up an event, and smart building solutions, and also how you build high performance teams. So if you want to join, just follow me on the internet. We will meet you somewhere. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for sharing your energy. Thank you all for sharing your passion and time.
Thank you again from me too. Really great to have you with us. Have a great evening.
I will send you the videos and the PDF afterwards. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Hey, Ronald. Feeling more energized already. People said, great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was nice. That was nice.
It's great, guys. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Michael. Thank you for helping to make this happen.
You're looking good, Michael.
All credits go to Stefan and you guys. It's all organized by you guys. So thank you for the warm words, Stefan. I'm going to pick up my kids, fully energized. So have a nice evening.
Thank you, Michael. You too. See you
Cheers.
soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Stefan, I will make a new PDF and send that to you of the actual slides I showed. And but yeah, I thought that went very well. It was no, people seemed quite engaged. I guess we had about 30 to